Okay, I absolutely love keywords. To me, keyword research is the foundation of anything that you are going to do online. I've been in the agency world for over 20 years, and every time we would get a new client, we would spend at least 3 to 4 days just diving into keywords. Now, I'm really kind of jealous because now when I'm using SE ranking, it allows me to do the things probably in a half a day that we did in 4 days because the tools have just grown and become so much more usable. But I'm going to walk you through why they're so important, what you can learn from it, and then how you can implement that into your own marketing. Now, number one, here's why keywords are so important. If you have ever read this book, if you haven't, I highly recommend it. But the book is called Everybody Lies. And it talks about how people lie to other people, they lie to their friends, their spouses, their doctors, they lie on surveys. But the one place that they are honest is the search box. That's where people type in exactly what they want and they don't lie. Everywhere else around the world, they shade the truth. They don't use the right words. They'll change it up because they're trying not to, make someone else feel bad. But in Google, they'll say exactly what it is that they want. And so that there is a key advantage to almost any other type of information gathering is the keywords we get are honest. That's the big thing. Now, keywords, we tend to divide them into two flavors. The first is what we call the long tail. Now, the long tail, that is where we get 3, 4, or 5 words or longer where people explain exactly what they want. And the more words they use, the more they're telling you intent. They're giving you those signals that clarify location, features, price sensitivity, urgency. This is where they're communicating real information. You see, at the top here, this is what we call the short tail. A short tail is easy because those are the keywords that everybody thinks of. They're usually 1 or 2 words. They're searched on the most, or at least it looks that way, because they're all up here, those first 10 words that people search for. But this long tail, this goes on and on and on. Sometimes, it looks almost indefinite because these are the real problems people have. I think what happens is, think about your own search behavior. You type in a very general term first, and you see there's millions of results. Then you realize you've got to add more words to describe what it is you need. And that's the long tail. And this is where the gold is. The more words that people use, the more it tells you. I love this example, how to train my dog. Well, it's a dog. It's not a puppy. That's what they want. They're looking for behavior. They're looking for training, how to do things. So there's demonstration involved, what types of commands. There's all kinds of things that we can learn from a simple search statement. And we can apply that into how we develop our content, how we develop our marketing, and how we interact with customers. And it can even go as far as packaging, branding, and your entire marketing plan. Here's a great example, though, of urgency. You see, we can look at other keywords, and the one I used example is how do I teach my dog to sit? But here's one, and you can fill in the blank here. How do I stop my dog? Now, there's urgency being communicated here. This is the difference between someone who wants to train a dog and someone who needs a solution right now. The other one, people are researching and looking for options. This one, if you give someone the answer they want, they're going to go for it because there's pain involved, depending upon what the dog is doing. All right. There's some sort of pain, destruction, something happening, and they're willing to do anything to prevent it. And so we can learn the urgency, the emotional state, and how willing people are to move immediately based on the words they're using. Now, this to me is the closest you're going to get to the mind of the consumer. You can, and I do tell people, talk to your sales team, talk to customer support, look at emails, get those things. But there's always going to be a shade of dishonesty, for lack of a better term, because we used it earlier. There's always going to be a shade of, I'm saying it this way because I want this. There's going to be different motivations, especially if it's coming from a focus group or other types of research. This is clarity. This is exactly what people type in, and they're expressing what they need in the moment. And that's what makes it so important. It's intent. I also like to look at, type in your brand or a brand associate and see what people associate to your brand. What keywords do they use with your brand, and get a sense of what people think about it. But also location. Are people looking for a specific location or within a location? And is that where they are? Are they looking to plan something, to go somewhere? Directions, references, what kind of questions are they asking? Those are the questions we need when we start to approach keyword research. If you're going to get the most out of this, it really takes some digging. Now, here's how you can apply search keywords or keyword research. Number one, I think we all know we can use it in SEO. We can use it in articles. We can use them as we build websites and optimize websites, and it will increase our rankings. Not only that, it increases relevance. When you have the keyword that people are looking for on your page and it shows up in the search results, it will increase the potential of that click-through. But also when people go to the page and they see the keywords on that page, they're more likely going to stay and convert because you've increased the relevance for what they're looking for. We also apply this in paid search. You can make your ads more relevant by using the right keywords. And when you do that, you decrease your cost per click, you increase your click-throughs, which increases your quality score. Now, I also use keywords, especially in social media marketing. What are people looking for? What questions do they have? You've got to implement those keywords. But also, what I love about keyword research is trends. Learning what is important when. If you want to launch a product or you want to do a campaign around a holiday, learn what people are talking about during that holiday. What's important to them? Learn those words and the concepts, integrate that into your social postings for that time frame, and you'll see your relevance go up. You'll see people listening and paying attention because you're talking about something that's important to them when it is important. Same thing with email. Integrating keywords into your subject lines increases open rates, increases click-through rates because you're just making things more relevant. But even on a wider scale, in your entire content marketing, keyword research should be the core of what you're building, what you're developing in your content marketing, because it's direct insight into your audience and what they need, what they're looking for. Another example of how you can do this is market trends. For example, we were working with a client, and this client, they'd had a company, and it was almost a 100-year-old company. They always started their marketing for the winter season. That's when their products were most used. They always started it around September. However, when we started doing keyword research, we found that people started looking for their products as early as June or July for winter. They were looking to purchase. And when we showed them this research that people are on Google looking for you in early summer, but you're not starting your marketing campaign until after the summer. I loved it because the owner put his head in his hands and he kind of joked that, well, that's the way we've always done it. The next year, they changed their marketing schedule to coincide with the trends we saw in the keyword research. And they increased their sales by over 400% for the rest of the year, simply by doing keyword research. It changed their whole marketing strategy. Also in marketing strategy, I love to call this concept the industry versus reality. Keyword research tells us what words we're using within an industry that are probably only understood within that industry. All right. Reality, sometimes people use different words, different explanations, different things, and they're looking for something else, but inside a little, a little group, we know what that means, but we're the industry insiders. We need to translate some of those words for people who may not know what that is, but they need that product. And so there's also business opportunities. You can find what's happening. Why is keywords trending at this point? What are the effects? What are the influences of that trend? The more we know, the more we can transform our entire marketing strategy. All right, great example. We did a lot of work for a furniture company, and one of the things we learned is just comparing the two words couch or sofa. And one thing that is interesting is over the past 20 years, the primary term, the one that's searched on the most, it has changed 3 times. And so early on, people were looking for couch more than sofa. About 10 years ago, people were searching for sofa more than couch. Now it's back to couch. So you can track differences because people's usage of different words change over time. So if the last keyword research you did was 10 years ago, or can I say even 3 years ago, or last year, you still need to go back and review and make sure that the words haven't changed. Now, something else that we learned about the furniture industry, and this goes across the board, this is pretty universal. I could ask you to describe the colors that you see of these couches, all right? And one thing we found is that, and this is a great example of industry versus reality. You see, in the furniture industry, this is called, let me see, this is called like a slate, and this is called an indigo, and this is ivory, and I don't even know what kind of color that is. That was called sunshine. Do you notice what the industry was doing when they were naming colors? Peach. Yeah, this was peach. Now maybe it doesn't look that way on your monitor, but this is how I'm describing it. The industry was coming up with all these, I would call them the fancy colors, and that's how they were describing their furniture. However, when we did the keyword research, guess what words people would use when they would look for furniture? Yeah, they would look for white, gray, blue, yellow. People searched using primary colors. The industry, and this was amazing to us because it was an incredible opportunity to grasp a huge amount of market share, which we did, because the rest of the furniture industry were using all these colors. We changed and dismissed the rest of the industry and changed the colors to what people were looking for, and dominated the rankings for those primary colors and the furniture they were associated with, all because of keyword research. The rest of the industry took about 8 years to catch up and realize what was going on, that they were using the wrong colors to describe their furniture. They had great rankings, but not a lot of traffic. All right, I've got 5 tips for keyword gold. Number 1, I like to look at ratios rather than the numbers. Numbers are important sometimes, but to me, the ratios are more important. I want an idea of, so for example, vacation packages is searched 3 times more than vacation ideas. That gives me a real sense of market share of a specific keyword. So what should I be able to expect when I'm optimizing for that term? Or also if I'm looking how to label something, how to name it, which is, again, this is interesting because as just 5 years ago, pre-COVID, vacation ideas was searched more than vacation packages. So that's another one that has flipped over time. But also summer, and this may not be a surprise, summer vacations are searched 4 times more than winter vacations. So sometimes I think we can get a little too focused on the exact numbers. I like to pull back a little bit, look at the ratios, and start building some groups built based on the ratios, because you're looking to target specific ideas and the concepts that go along with that. Now, yeah, just a quick view of, and I'm going to jump into the keyword research tool and show you some of the things about that. But we can see the search volumes here and get a sense of what's going on. The difficulty rating is great here. But as you can see, we've got summer, 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 and then here we have ideas showing up, and then summer. So there's great ways that we can go through and just sort of ballpark how much of the keyword world is in summer, how much is in winter, and what are the concepts that go along with that. Now, love organizing into concepts because this is where you're going to learn the nuances of what people want. Do they have a price consideration, specific locations or destinations in mind? Is it a type of product they're looking for? Cruises versus ski resorts, family vacations or no kids vacations. Are they looking for an all-inclusive, a rental? This is where you start developing an understanding of that wider keyword universe inside this area. I'm going to give you an example of car insurance. That when people start searching for car insurance, it looks like it's all over the board, but what's happening is people are refining what they're looking for based on these considerations. So we can see that, now some people may want a bundle. They want home and car insurance, or they want just classic car or business car or for a teen driver. They're looking for price considerations. And this was interesting. I was working with one insurance company, and they said, we're not allowed to use the word cheap in our advertising, cheap insurance. And I said, well, that's great, but you realize that 80% of searches are for cheap insurance. And so it's up to you how you want to do that. The nice thing is, though, is that the search engines do understand synonyms. So inexpensive. The thing is, most people don't use the word inexpensive. Insurance companies use that. The reality is people use the word cheap. And they can also look at types of insurance, insurance tools, estimators, things like that. So we can start grouping all of these words under a key area so that we know what it is that people are searching for, and we can easily assign a group. Start building into these topics. Then you'll understand what people are looking for in these topics and the subtopics that are needed. Now, we can also take another step back and look for progression. Progression is when people search for something, and when they realize there's more information out there, or it triggers another set of searches. Great example of that is I like to call it the Disney effect. If someone's going to Disney World, they'll do some searches, then they start looking for hotels, then they start looking for car rentals, then they start looking for restaurants. It triggers a dozen more topical searches based on one activity. So we look for progression. Now, progression, to go back to the car insurance, this is a great example of it because people start out saying, I need car insurance. And then we can see all the words that they use for car, or, their synonyms. And again, I'm looking at ratio. Cars searched more than auto. That gives me a sense of how to phrase things. But then we can see that there is a progression. Price consideration, that is a significant factor early in searches. And then it's the type. Is there a specific type of car or type of insurance? And then we see the consideration and comparison stage. And this is when they're looking for comparisons, averages. They're also looking for quotes and quote estimators. And this is when tools come in. People are looking for ways to estimate and get quotes without actually talking to an agent. And so this is the consideration comparison. And then you have your buying words when people are ready to buy. And so look for that progression of general to more specific, but also what are the steps in between? What are research words? What are defining words? What are comparison words? And then what are final decision-making terms? And you'll be able to kind of make a sense as you go through here and organize them. Here are our early stage keywords. So now, knowing those early stage keywords, you apply that to your content marketing. That these are concepts, these are things that people want to know before they're a customer. And so we can create that content and be found for it at an earlier stage than maybe we are at a mid stage. Or, how is your site, how's your marketing designed? When is it designed to capture people? Is it designed to capture them early, mid, or late? And what kind of content do you have to support that? And now you can match those keywords to make sure that you're reaching those people at the right time, or if you want to move up earlier into an earlier stage of capturing that audience. This is where finding trends. I love focusing on trends, because if I'm building a content calendar for the next year or two, I start with trends. I want to know what's predictable, what's reliable, what's coming, and why. That's where I love the correlation. Why is it important? Why does it bump keywords for certain things at that time? And so this is where I absolutely love digging in when I'm looking at car insurance. And we can see, and this is kind of predictable, that car insurance, the demand is at its highest from March to June in the US. Now, it may be different in other areas, but summertime seems to be the time when people are looking for insurance. And it kind of drops to its lowest around that October, November, December timeframe. So this helps me plan my content, helps me plan my search marketing, helps me plan how much I'm going to push, and also the expectations and measurement that I should expect in those timeframes. Number 5, what do people want? And this is where you dig into the questions. What questions are people asking? What do they want to know? What are the how-to questions that people are asking for your business? YouTube published this a couple of years ago, that there are actually 20 reasons, 20 distinct reasons that people go to YouTube. Number 1 is to help me fix something in my home or my car. By far, that's the number 1 use of YouTube. But then number 2, to be entertained, to learn something, curiosity, solve a problem, see something unique. And then we have relax and distress, inspiration, to improve school or job skills. It keeps going. People have very specific reasons for using YouTube. Same thing, they have very specific reasons for using different social media or different tools to solve problems. This is why I love when we dig into these keywords, when I know seasonality and I can track what's happening. The next step is to do a content audit. This is where I challenge people, go look at your website. Based on the keywords that we've found, based on working them into an early, mid, or late stage, what content do you have? What's ranking? What's drawing people to the site? What do you have that people want? Then, if people were to click on a search result and go to your page, what will they find? That's number 1. So based on the content you have and what people are looking for, will there be an intersection? Will you give them what they want? Will they be able to find it? And then, will it be satisfactory? Where will you take them after that? Are you just going to give them the content, or are you going to lead them to the next stage? Are you going to give them something? What are you going to do once people find you? And my number 1 thing here is, did you make them happy? Based on what you have and what people want, did you make them happy with that content? And knowing the right keywords will help you get that accomplished.